gosh, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Awesome. We are so excited to be here today with you. Thank you for celebrating with us. And before you head out to EPCOT this evening, we're getting ready to talk about our very favorite topic, which is EPCOT. It's nice to meet all of you. I'm Christina Case, and I have spent about a little over 8 years in park planning and integration at the park. And I have to tell you, this is an emotional moment for me because I'm transitioning to a new role. So this is my little kiss goodbye to the park, but will always be an EPCOTian in my heart. So I'm excited to introduce our panel to you. We have Scott Mallett, our Executive Creative Director, Ms. Kartika Rodriguez, Vice President of EPCOT. You saw her earlier today. Ms. Chelsea Weichart, who is our Senior Creative Producer, and Brianna Post, who is our Art Director. We are going to talk a little bit about why and how we're transforming EPCOT, what's already open, what's changed, and also what's to come. And I feel like, Scott, you're going to help us kick this off as part of this conversation.
Well, thanks. Yeah, you know, EPCOT is just different, right? And that's why we love it. And it's a park that, you know, is our first non-castle park. You know, we thought about what it was and what it was rooted in. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But we like to think that is really an optimistic place, right? Walt really believed that tomorrow was going to be better than today. And the things we have in common far outweigh the things that separate us. Yeah, that's a big deal, right? And I think that's what this team has kind of latched onto and really brought forward. And you know, the spirit of the place is what's important. The spirit of the place is what makes it work, right? And it's people. Kartika's going to talk about that as well. So
what I love about this quote too, Scott, is that I think that first part, EPCOT has always meant something, I feel like, to everyone. It is something that uniquely everyone connects with in a different way.
Right. And it's a way in, right? It's been inspirational, right, for generations, and it's exciting to see people kind of have an experience that they can't get anywhere else, that isn't a typical theme park experience, right? It's really wonderful.
Let's talk a little bit about the basis of this transformation, and I absolutely love this photo. I was speaking with a colleague of mine, and they said, well, what is it about EPCOT that you think it's kind of grounded in? And for me personally, it's grounded in love. You think about the fact that this was a dream of Walt's, and so his colleagues coming together to bring that dream to life, like what a beautiful display that is, and so unique to our park. That is so unique to us. But tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with the stories, right? You know, what are we going to do about EPCOT, right? What are we going to do? And you know, Marty was a great distiller of kind of Walt's vision, right? Having worked with Walt since the beginning, right? Since writing the Disneyland News, right, for Walt on opening day. So Marty spent a lot of time with him, and we're going to share something here in a minute that is an example of that. Oh, I guess it's coming right now. We went back in to the archives and looked for a few things. And what's wonderful about this particular piece that we're showing here, it's the storyboard for the animated portion of the announcement of the Florida project. So the little clip that we saw earlier up on the screen before we came out in the introduction, there was an animated piece that talked about the future and the optimism and the hope of what EPCOT was going to be. And this is actually the first storyboard and script treatment for that narrative. It's really powerful stuff. And we're just thrilled that it's here. We're thrilled we have it. We're thrilled we got Marty's archives catalog for the first time. And if you don't know that story, you know, Marty kept everything, and he kept it in his house. And late in his life, his wife actually forced him to build an office so he could move everything out of the house to the office. So we got all that stuff, and it was a wonderful. So there's been a whole team back in Glendale kind of distilling and going through that, and some of it is available online, and it'll continue to see access to that in different ways as we move forward.
Chelsea, when you saw these, when we were kind of reading these, like what came to your mind?
I mean, so inspiring. We, as Imagineers, are huge fans of EPCOT and our parks, and to see these for the first time, I mean, to start, we had to go back. We had to find that inspiration, and we had so much available to us thanks to these archives. And it really was this great foundation that we use to inform this new transformation, and there's no other word to put it other than inspiring. I literally have chills looking at this. This is really cool stuff.
It makes me think of like if you see, your grandmother's handwritten recipe that your family hands off to you, and that just tradition and being, I think Scott, you said this before, that we need to be stewards of this park.
Yeah.
Kind of keeping that tradition alive as well, but absolutely gorgeous. Anything else to point out about these particular images?
There's more to come. Yeah. We've got a lot of stuff to share. So and some really powerful stuff. But you can see the thinking. You can see the way that the form and proportion and the narrative is unrolling, like how these shape, forms, and materials are working. And when we talk about looking back to go forward, right? We're in the new World Celebration. We're really just celebrating the materiality of EPCOT. When you bring a material to EPCOT, it is the material.
Unapologetic.
Right? It is unapologetic.
Love that, unapologetic.
Right? It is concrete and steel and natural material, but it's not trying to be anything else other than what it is. And so we've really respected that, especially as we leaned into things like Spaceship Earth and leaned into the redesign of the main entry and re-enlivened the lights around the original architecture of the eyebrow. Just going back in and with new technology and new ways of thinking, but really being honest to that materiality and extending it and making it relevant for this generation. So it's wonderful to see the tones and the intent, and then to be able to pick that intent up.
And I think we do have some handwritten notes
that
we're going to take a look at as well. These are just remarkable. I think we see the state of becoming, which is what we have said forever. I think when I first saw these, we were kind of reviewing them, and I had complete chills. I was tearing up. Just you think about the magnitude of walking in that park and seeing these handwritten notes, again, of a friend and a colleague that is trying to help bring that image and that dream to life. That is so uniquely us as Epcotians in that park, and I think that's why there's just such a passion for it as well. Brianna, what comes to mind for you when you look at these?
I feel like I'm looking at a reflection of my own efforts. Our process hasn't changed in all of these years. So to see the scribbles and the notes and the crossing outs and all this stuff, which is a collaboration of effort. It's a conversation with the people that were in the room while he was writing these notes. Maybe even with Walt. That to me is so evocative of what our jobs still are every day and the dedication that we put into it, because it is, you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it with an amazing team of really passionate, dedicated people. And to see these was wow, we're walking in the shoes of some amazing humans, and we feel the weight of that.
Absolutely, and outlining that vision, I think, right in all of those notes as well. And then there was, that announcement. Here we see some, I think, additional notes kind of zoomed in, admiring the excellence of environmental planning.
These were so validating to read, because to create an artful and efficient environment, that is what we are endeavoring to do, and then to see it echoed back in these words, it's really validating and has given the team a lot of things to grab onto.
The acceleration of change grows faster each year. We heard so much about growth all day earlier today as well, which is coming. So we know that we're not done. We know we're kind of coming and approaching this part of our transformation. Anything else to point out on these particular notes?
I love the provided ongoing meeting place where the world may gather, because I think that's what everyone feels when they go to EPCOT. And now that we're opening up the front of the park and creating an environment where people will be able to gather together and to just enjoy each other. That's the whole centering point, the grounding of that area. And Kartika likes to say it's a people park, and that's what we're giving back. So I'm thrilled to just go with my own family and my friends and just sit and enjoy time together. So we're just as anxious as you guys.
And Kartika, you walk the park so much.
I do. But at first I have to say I'm so lucky and fortunate to work with such talented individuals who brings and pour so much of their heart and soul into what they do. And you can see that into the parks. And we really do take into account the seriousness of being the stewards of the park. We definitely take that to heart, and that's really important to us. And it's a fine balance between being able to, pay homage to rich heritage, but also wanting to figure out how to make freshness, newness, right? So that it still is excitement for our guests and cast alike. But I enjoy truly walking around the park and seeing all the aspects of it. And it just really takes a collaborative team of effort and talk and conversations. And it's nice to see Marty's notes when he's like, what is this? What is next? What do we think about it? And so we're like, okay, that's great. But I think no matter what happens, we always anchor back to the essence of what EPCOT is. This spirit of optimism, right, is very important. This spirit of discovery, education, right, and just learning and development. All those components come together so beautifully.
I love it. Let's take a look too. I think we have an image here from the press, the archives too.
This is great. So this is a wonderful thing to talk about in this moment, because this was the first press announcement that went out for the phase 2, announcing phase 2 of the Walt Disney World Resort. And just like many different new things have come online today, for the very first time, they were announcing the experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow and the World Showcase, which is so cool to think about how there were all of these designers and architects and graphic designers and hordes of humans with bated breath, knowing that, okay, it's out there now. Yeah. It's out there in the world. And we love looking back, we love reading and researching what were the touchstones of the amazing folks who designed the park originally. And this image here of those beautiful radial shaped buildings, some things don't make it into the park. And we love going back and checking what, taking a read on what they were thinking about. And this image is of one of the concept models, and it really struck a chord with us when we were thinking about, even looking back at those other images from the announcement, that radial plan, that heart of the park, that spoke system, and we use this as one of our inspirations for what will be Communicore Hall. So there's all these little details that we can never you can't plaster plaques all over the park explaining our logic, but it's there, the DNA is there, and we know our super fans totally get it.
Absolutely, and we have super fan casts all the time. I'll tell this story. Every year we host a party, and all the parks do, before their cast and celebrating, and our team was in charge of that, so we were there super early in the morning for our third shift cast members, and we had a whole scene set up kind of reenacting the picture of Walt with the Florida Project, and also just the audio piped in of that moment. And we see this cast member as he's exiting the party and stopped dead in his tracks, and I walked over to make sure he was okay, and he says, I know exactly where I was on the couch when I saw this and listened to this for the first time, and I cannot believe that I work here. And it was just this moment where I have chills thinking about that, and the same, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But these are the things, and these are so many of our cast members. We have so many heritage cast members in the park that really remember day one of opening that and bringing that to life. So let's talk about EPCOT in comparison to the other parks here. Scott, I would love for you to kind of take us through this one, because we are uniquely EPCOT, but tell us a little bit about how this fits in.
Yeah, I mean, you folks know it well, right? The Walt Disney World Resort is unique, right? It's very big. There's a lot of offerings. And so we work as Imagineers and as our park partners, right? We work very close with each other to develop the distinctions between the parks, right? Because we know that the Magic Kingdom, where fantasy reigns, is rooted in early animation, which is rooted in European folklore and fairy tales and things that have been interpreted through the lens of American individualism. And I can go on for an hour and a half about that park.
He will.
And I will. And then on the other side of this continuum is Animal Kingdom, where there's nothing more real than seeing those animals on safari, right? And so EPCOT lives just to the fantasy side of Animal Kingdom. And it's about this idea that the magic of possibility. Through ingenuity and innovation, we can create anything, right? If we just believe in the future and have a positive attitude and be curious about the world around us and welcoming, it's a great opportunity for us to grow as a people, as a planet. And I think that extends to the cast.
Absolutely,
right?
to the cast. I love this slide because when you think about it, it actually tells what the parks represent and what their essence are in 3 to 4 words. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You were able to pull that together that way. But I love how it tells a story. But you can tell that it's really important when you think about EPCOT, how important it is to both our guests and our cast. When I think about it from the guest perspective, they continue to reinforce the fact that they love what the park represents, this ability to come together, to learn about different cultures, to explore. All those things are very important. And I see it in our cast as well, when they take pride in being able to talk about the different things that you can experience. And they take pride in sharing their favorite dining location, their favorite shopping location, or maybe something that you didn't know that's like kind of a little bit of an Easter egg, and they take pride in kind of sharing that. And so together, it all comes together very beautifully, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. We appreciate that. We feed off that energy. They feed off our energy, and so it works really well. And funny story, or not really, but I will tell you, as we see these type of letters and things like that, and so we love being here with our super fans, but we get geeked out too when we see that. We're like, can we touch that? Can we see that? That's amazing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having a very strong vision for the park, and I love the vision statement that we have for this park, to me is so beautiful. At EPCOT, we believe the spirit of optimism and hope inspires the world, that anything is possible through human ingenuity and imagination. Then my favorite line, life is better when we engage with and celebrate each other in the world. You know, this is a place right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Absolutely. Those are big statements. Yeah.
This is at the front of every update we do creatively.
Yeah.
This is the first slide to remind all of us what we're up to.
What we're grounded in, right? Yeah, having that collective North Star. And I think this is a place too that in normal world, you go out and you go somewhere and you aren't necessarily like going to ask a person, hey, where are you from? What's your hometown, etc. You tend to do that. You walk around our park, you go to talk to our cultural representatives, and there's this innate, natural, organic curiosity that happens, that the reality of the world and all the things that happens melts away, and we find a way to really celebrate each other, which I think is just very, very uniquely EPCOT. Speaking of uniquely EPCOT, so Kartika and a team, like I would love to hear your thoughts around what does make us additionally uniquely EPCOT, and how do you all as Imagineers think about this as a filter for what we do bring to the park, or maybe what doesn't come to the park, as we think about that?
Yeah, I'll start. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that, thank you. One of the things I appreciate when I think about EPCOT being uniquely different, or what's special about it, I like to say what's special about EPCOT, is that I really do believe that there is something for everyone. So from the smallest babe to the youngest at heart, right? You can come here and experience a variety of things, and you can create these memories with your loved ones and your friends and your family members together. So whether that's something like, you know, you're looking for thrill, Guardians of Galaxy, right? Or maybe you're interested in architect, right? And so you go and you look at the different pavilions in Morocco and see the detail and hear about the history of what it took to bring that pavilion together. And so we have everything in between there. And so I really do feel like it's a place that you can learn, you can enjoy. There's moments that are done strategically that you can actually stop and really just enjoy that experience, right? Whether that be the gardens that you experience, right? Or whether that be an attraction that you're doing, or experiencing food, right? It all comes together through all these different sensories, right? That touches everyone.
I love that. Anyone else have anything to?
Yeah, I love the fact that we're able to extend, you know, when you think about World Showcase and you think about the pavilions, a lot of our guests don't get a chance to visit the places they can visit in World Showcase, right? The real places, the places that inspire World Showcase. And for them to meet people from those cultures, to experience those foodways, to experience that language, to experience that architecture, to experience those stories, and then for us to be able to bring a food story about French culture, which is the root of the Ratatouille experience, right? To extend that to new audiences is really powerful, and I think it starts to fill out a lot of these pavilion stories. And so I'm excited because Kartika and I were talking earlier today between the panels, and it's like, we got a lot of opportunity to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And it's exciting that we have a good framework for that.
I feel like a lot of this is creating the future travelers, right?
Yeah.
Like you're inspiring folks
Yeah.
to see and experience different things.
Absolutely.
And I love it when families can do that from the smallest, like I said, whether you enjoy French cuisine, right? And the little ones maybe not ready for that, but they can try a crepe. They can try a crepe, right?
100%,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Try it, great.
Some fudge.
Yeah, there's some
chocolate
ice cream
on
in it, we're good.
Yeah.
But it's also a park when we think about, we say, you know, a state of becoming, and we're thinking about our big projects, but it is also a park that is constantly changing.
Yes.
Yes.
With our festival programming and with even just the horticulture. So there's always this new infusion of new possibilities and new life and new, you know, things that could spark curiosity within our guests and inspire them as they go along their life.
But also keeping it timeless.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we're going to talk about the art, because I think that is also a way that you all as the creative geniuses behind here, right? It ties us back to our history, it celebrates us, but it also keeps it fresh. Brianna, I'd love for you to kind of take us through this slide.
Well, if you can't tell, I like color. So when people think about EPCOT, you know, the first thing that I think comes to mind is beautiful, aspirational architecture. But there's also this other layer of using art as a nonverbal communication tool to really imbue our guests into what they're about to experience. So my favorite examples, I think, are the beautiful mural that is in front of Spaceship Earth as you walk in. You don't need to know how to read or know English or anything. You can just understand it through the storytelling of that artwork, what you're about to get into. And then on the flip side, because that's kind of a literal storytelling, the entrance to the land pavilion is this beautiful, right, you all know it, that mosaic that as you're diving into the land, you've got this visceral texture, color, everything telegraphing to you what you're about to be, what's about to be celebrated inside. So we definitely wanted to keep our program going. Selfishly, it's like a really fun, amazing thing to install new art into such a beautiful park. I think my favorite piece that we've done a lot of really beautiful hand-painted murals in our new Connections and Creations, but the mural that sits in Connections that celebrates food, global food staples, and the gathering around food and the gathering of food, because it's a touchstone, right? You might not have ever traveled to Ethiopia, but you enjoy coffee every day, and it's all these things that we all have in common. And also working on that project, there was so many people who collaborated, who researched, who put their true heart into that amazing 163-foot long celebratory piece of artwork. And then we also look back at our old concept artwork. So the next slide, we have a really beautiful example of, I'll tell you.
Here it comes.
There it comes.
Yeah.
So I love this piece because it's incredibly aspirational, but you can tell there are elements that we have in the park now if you think of the bridges going to Odyssey and Odyssey Pavilion itself. But this piece, let me tell you, it is over 6 feet long. I have a little printout. This has been stapled behind me in my Zoom calls since 2019 because it was a piece that, to me, spoke to what we were trying to do at the front of the park, which was make it timeless and relevant, but also evoke this feeling of something special and different. And the shape language of this, as well as that idea of this very perfect harmony balance of texture and color, and Scott was speaking to the materials earlier, has made it into what eventually we will get to all enjoy together very soon. In our landscaping. And we have such an amazing team of landscape architects and theme lighting designers who keep looking back at all of these images and using them as source because we need to, because the pieces of architecture that live in the park still came from these inspirational pieces. So when we look back at them, we're just continuing on those design traditions. And then when the pieces slot in, to us it feels like they belong. And there's some really awesome vantage points that I personally enjoy that are very much inspired by these images.
And I think honoring that through the art is so impressive, and I also will invite myself to join you on a park walk that you can just take me of all the art, so that'll be my next stop. But and then looking at this park plan, Chelsea, I mean, amazing.
I mean, so we've never shared this image before. And as someone who has grown up going to EPCOT, has been inspired so much by EPCOT.
And it inspired you to start, and wasn't it Soarin' that you were on?
Mm-hmm.
That
I
you
was
were
on
like trying
Soarin',
to figure out how
like,
it
how
works
does this work? And my dad was like, yeah, like this is something you can do. And I mean, that stuck with me.
Now you're here.
And now I'm here. But you hear the story, but so Marty and John were messing with the models, and one day they took the World Showcase model and they put it against the Future World model. And in that moment, you had EPCOT.
You will never walk the center of the park and feel the same because you'll just think about it.
And someone, thank goodness, captured it.
Yeah.
And it was very cool to see this image. When our group got to see this, it was so neat because you hear these stories, but it just felt so real in that moment.
When I think I envision in that moment that, Marty and John are friends, they're colleagues like you all, they were probably standing there being like, hey, what do you think Walt would have wanted? Why don't you take that, move it over here? Like, I just envision that as part of that moment to think about how the park came to life, and that's just so remarkable.
It was a bold move, right? I mean, you got Future World in the front and World Showcase in the back, and they're two very different ideas, and for them to just say, hey, you know what, it's better together. It was a big play.
And now we have neighborhoods, which I love that term because, again, it goes back to this celebration, engaging with each other, with people, the human element. We're going to hear a little bit later from Scott about this element of connectivity in the center of the park too. But so we do have our various neighborhoods that we're going to kind of briefly take a little virtual tour through. But I think starting at the very front of the park, and probably the most remarkable, I know, EPCOT was always my very favorite park coming here as a kid. And so being able to work here was so, so special. And to me, Spaceship Earth was always the most amazing park icon. And so we came one night, they were getting ready to test the beacons of magic, and Kartika and I were there late at night with a whole gathering of people, and we were just anxiously awaiting, and the lights sort of dim, and background music goes on, and it lit up, and we completely embraced. We were full body chills, we were crying. I was like, is she so beautiful? Because we said it just had this kinetic energy that it didn't have even before.
Yeah.
And it was so remarkable before, but how have we seen our guests engage with it now?
Oh my gosh, our guests absolutely love it. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's a moment. Like, it's a moment at the end of the night, and they actually wait to see what that experience is gonna look like. But just how the entire front of the park was reimagined, to me, is just absolutely beautiful, the work that was done. I feel like, welcome to our neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so inviting, and how they designed the planters, so that when you enter the park, it's not like everyone coming together. You literally have to kind of slow down and kind of meander around the gardens and take in that moment and that beauty. And I love how they reimagined what I'll say, the fountain in the front is absolutely gorgeous, right? And the water is very tranquil, very peaceful. And the water flows down, you can hear that. So you see all this beautiful greenery, and then you hear the water, and then you see the beautiful, iconic Spaceship Earth, right? And at night, it's a game changer. You have this music, you have the lights dancing, and it just really plays and works so well together. And it literally is a moment.
Yeah.
Folks, awesome.
It's beautiful.
Let's jump to World Showcase as well, which I think is just truly a celebration of cultures. I know, Scott, you mentioned it. Many of our guests don't have the opportunity to travel around here. You can go to as many of our countries as you'd like, or as few, and just dive in and enjoy. But this is one element that really differentiates us as well.
Yeah, it's about the celebration of distinction, right? Distinct architecture, distinct food, distinct culture, and in some ways, all those distinctions are common, right? We all have to dress, we all have to live somewhere, we all have to eat, and we find ways and to experience these cultures by accessing different parts of World Showcase. And I just think it's a lovely place, and just continues. As I said, we've got a lot of opportunity to continue to extend that storytelling here. We've been talking a lot about what this means in the future, but the platform is so solid, and the new show, Luminous, is just remarkable, and just is going to be a spectacle that's worthy of World Showcase Lagoon. And I think if you think about what we've done in the front, where we're repositioning the neighborhoods, the next one we're going to talk about here is like World Discovery, right? So, World Discovery is where we lean into innovation, technology, travel, and we talk about kind of things that are a little more active, a little more leaning into the optimism piece into the future, and we can do what's possible when people come together and share a vision. It's really a powerful space, and there's a great story recently that we from a guest that visited Space.
Oh yeah, the little guest that you met at Space 220.
One of my favorite stories is when we were actually opening up Space 220. You're always excited and you want to see how your guests are going to react to a new space, and so we're waiting for the guests to come out and say, how was the experience? And I'll never forget this one, where it was a family of 4, and it was a little boy, and he was bouncing and excited, and he runs out, probably between 6 and 8 years old. And so I asked him, how was your lunch? And he's like, it was great. And he's happy and he's smiling. And then he got really serious. And he tells me, I know what I want to be when I grow up. And I said, really? Okay, what is that? He says, I want to be an astronaut and I want to be an engineer. after this experience in Space 220, and it just warmed my heart. Now, I will tell you, I'm an industrial engineer, so maybe that's why I was so excited. But just to see that, like, when you think about inspiration, right, and you think about the possibilities, and just opening up his eyes, and he was excited, he was committed. So it's just, when you think about the work that our Imagineers do, it's amazing. And it really does anchor back to what's important at EPCOT, this inspiration, the possibilities, to dream big, right?
Yeah, dream big.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit later about World Celebration, so we'll just kind of touch on this briefly here, but we're going to start to hear a little bit more about how the festivals are going to infuse into this space. But let's travel to World Nature.
Yeah.
I know Chelsea gets really excited about this particular one. Chelsea, why don't you talk us through this slide?
Sure. So World Nature is really about the awe and beauty of our natural world and how we as humans engage with nature. So, we've always had the Land and Seas Pavilion, great pavilions, and now we're rounding that out with Journey of Water inspired by Moana.
I noticed you wore your water looking blue, beautiful blue to match that too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
very well themed as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here shortly too. But I think we do have something fun, I think, to share, don't we, Kartika?
One more thing fun to share.
One more thing about World Nature?
Oh, yes. I do.
How do you forget? Right?
So we're excited to share as a part of the D100. We're actually going to do a little bit of throwback. So Soaring Around the World will be coming for a limited time. Right?
California.
Soaring over California.
California.
Soaring over California, original cut.
Soaring Around California.
Yeah.
Soaring Around California.
Starting September 22nd. To be fair, we were talking about walking all around the world, so it's very easy.
Yeah, why not?
That's awesome. Very, very exciting indeed. So let's go back. Chelsea, take us through Journey of Water. You all are going to get to experience that tonight. We're thrilled for you. You're going to absolutely love it.
Oh, and we're so excited to share it with you guys. We love it. A lot of love went into this one. So this is an attraction that is a self-guided exploration trail, and it's all about the water cycle. And it's about how our water's journey as it goes from our skies to our earth and back again. And we're just really excited because we're kind of bringing that edutainment back, and what better way than talking about the water cycle, but we've also put in these really elegant layers of Moana. And who's a better role model than Moana to
So powerful.
right? And so we really hope that our guests and you guys walk away from this feeling a sense of stewardship, that through playing with water and making that connection with water, that you're going to maybe take that home with you and preserve one of our greatest resources.
And I think, yes, you can see it from the monorail, but being there on the ground amidst it in Tafiti is absolutely stunning. It almost takes your breath away when you kind of see her revealed. It's so beautiful, and it takes this experience, especially you think about fun for all ages. So many of our little guests are going to go absolutely bonkers for this and completely love it especially on the days we're all melting slightly into the ground.
Christina touched on it earlier, but it was so important for this that this attraction was for everybody. We wanted our youngest guests and everyone in between to be able to do it, and we also knew that maybe not everyone wants to get wet, and that's okay. Your vibe might be different from 9 a.m. versus 3 o'clock on an August day, and that's cool. And the idea was that all people can play with water, engage with it in their own way, and enjoy it together as a
Again, a very distinct experience as well as we think about that too. And then kind of this world celebration piece, right? As we think about this 30,000 foot view, we transition then into this amazing space of connectivity, but Dreamer's Point, that's going to be so unique to us, and to kind of take us back to this too, I'll have Brianna, if you don't mind, just kind of sharing your thoughts around this.
So this has been an honor to get to work on this very unique statue of Walt. It's kind of completing the triptych. If you think about the storyteller statue in California Adventure, where it's Walt, he's young, he's just got off the trolley, and he's ready to start an animation company. And then our partner statues are Walt, the heyday with Mickey. It's the classic and iconic Walt, very noble. And then we're touching on the end of his life, because we all know EPCOT was his final big dream, his big aspiration that he had. And so what we're presenting is Walt in a more casual manner, and he's sitting and he's dreaming. And the way he'll be located in our park is sort of looking out into the park that he inspired, that his friends executed, and that continues to grow and be a new experience to spark curiosity and to bring us all together today. And I'm telling you, when I stand on site every day and I'm making sure that what Walt is looking at is good, it's something truly like that I'm constantly thinking about, and the team is aware of that. So this is going to be a beautiful moment where people can come. It's Dreamer's Point. This is Walt the Dreamer. You can come and sit with him and look out and be inspired, and maybe come up with your own dreams.
And his face just looks so much pride and so much love looking out at that. It's so amazing. And then of course the center of the park that he's looking at, these amazing gardens as well. Gorgeous, gorgeous gardens that are going to be in there. And we have our Communicore Plaza, which is going to include Mickey and Friends within that. Tell us a little bit about this particular building, which is just so stunning.
Yeah, this is the anchor kind of in the southwest quadrant, kind of completes the circular path that we're introducing, kind of an overlay to bring back a hub and spoke path with strong east-west and north-south. EPCOT is a hyper-symmetrical park around its north-south axis, and so we really need to improve the view sheds between World Nature and World Discovery and offer more relief. And so some of the things you're seeing in Connections and Creations, where we've removed walls and remove the barriers between interior and exterior space. It's really hard to sense now because we have construction barriers there, right? When we take those barriers down, it's going to be organic. The whole thing, you're going to be able to look through the lush planting into those inside spaces. Look from the inside spaces into lush planting. This building's new. This building takes EPCOT pattern, right? EPCOT form, and EPCOT material, and presents itself in a really interesting way. And what we have here is this is a corner, it's a veil of the building. It's like an open mesh of panels and tessellated shapes here. Some of those are LED panels, right? So we'll be able to lean into what's happening at Spaceship Earth and what's happening in the center of the park. But what we're showing in the distance here is we can just jump to the next slide, is an amazing, again, this mural. I don't even know how long it is, Brianna. You know how long it is.
Oh yeah, so
yeah.
like I was mentioning before, I think art breathes life into these amazing pieces of architecture, and this is no different. But also, it's been an opportunity to celebrate the legacy and the history of the parks. And what I think is really cool, and what I would like y'all's help with, is informing people about the legacy and the history and everything that has been, so that we can continue to celebrate what can come. And so in this piece of artwork, and this is on the exterior and it will continue on in the interior, is a billion wonderful little celebratory Easter eggs of all of the fantastic characters that have lived in and around EPCOT. Figment is in there, of course, but then you also have Robo Butler, and maybe on the inside you'll see Smart One. And there's all these really awesome things that, like, kids nowadays might not know who the heck that is, but you do. So I would love it if you got to be in there and share all of the different wonderful Easter eggs that we've hidden in there. It's going to be a gorgeous installation on this new building.
And it's kind of this blank slate for our festivals, right? Kartika, do you want to talk a little bit about some of those? What will be there?
Yes.
Do we know?
So this is part of the fun part, right? So our Imagineers have done a great job of giving us a really special space for us to be able to evolve into. So we continue to always look for ways to make the festival, again, fun, interesting, freshness, trying different things. And we've been exploring a lot with Odyssey. You've seen Odyssey things that we've done with Figment, with just a lot of different things. Orange Bird we've done there. So I'm really excited for this space and how we're going to activate that. But we're looking at having something special, whether you look at it from an art gallery's perspective, but just being able to have these integrational points where people can come together and experiment and try different things. So really excited about this space. It's going to be absolutely beautiful.
And just pulling the center of gravity of festival programming forward.
Yeah.
Right? Relieving the pressure on World Showcase. World Showcase carries a
Only
big
so
load,
much room.
right? It carries a big load. We know what it's like out there in food and wine. We love it, right? But it's like we're at max. Let's let World Showcase breathe, and then let's give our partners a better opportunity to create larger, more interesting, more engaging, more wonderful programming that extends those festivals.
And a lot of beautiful park spaces that they can sit and enjoy and maybe have a decompression moment. And it is a tried and true tradition to eat over a trash can, but perhaps you would like
we're out there with you. Yeah.
I've done it. We've all done it, right?
Yeah, we're out there.
Just cheer them all. So we're really excited to have all these amazing new spaces that people can come and gather together and enjoy what is a fantastic fun day at a park in a beautiful garden that's inspired by all the EPCOT DNA that we've been touchstoning.
I love it. We have so much to celebrate in the future. We talked a little bit earlier about the announcement of our test track Reimagining, which is going to be spectacular too. So more to come.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're just getting started.
Stay tuned.
We're super excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we kind of wrap up this conversation, Kartika, this state of becoming, you as the leader of the park, how do you think about this for our future?
Yeah, there's so many emotions and feelings I go through, but what I hope for the audience, that they understand and see how a lot of this transformation was really rooted and grounded in Walt's ideas, right? In his vision and how we're trying to stay true to that while making it fresh and interesting. I hope that the audience enjoyed hearing a little bit about the journey and how we kind of anchor back to our North Star that Christina talked about, this optimism, people coming together, discovery, education, all those things are always at the root of what we think about, right? And I hope that that we're extremely proud of this transformation and what it represents for our park, and we're really excited and already starting to think about what that next phase could be. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're excited with us to be along this journey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to our amazing audience, our amazing panelists. We hope that when you enjoy your event tonight at EPCOT, you think about the love that it's grounded in, the storyline, all of the messaging back to commemorate everything that it is, and that you remember that last line of that vision statement, that life is better when we engage with and celebrate each other in the world. So thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
See you at EPCOT.
You're up.